Hello everyone, I'm going to be sharing my Mercari sales from May 24th through June 6th. Starting off with the highest sale, which was this 1940s travel military razor set, which sold for $26.09. I purchased this off of Whatnot a few years ago and maybe paid $1 or $2 for it. The next highest selling item I sold was this antique mini Victorian frame, which sold for $19.99. If the glass in the frame wasn't cracked, it could have went for more. I bought this from one of my dealers a few weeks ago in a huge bundle. The next highest selling item that sold was this vintage etching, which was damaged, but still sold for $16. Next, I have a bundle from a buyer who purchased all black Americana. She purchased an antique postcard for $7.20, an antique arcade penny portrait of an African-American boy for $4.99, and a reprint photo of an African-American woman for $5.53. The total cost of this bundle was $14.23. The next item that sold was this 1977 vintage marine belt buckle for $9.41. I believe that I paid $1 for it at a yard sale. This vintage brass mini cauldron sold for $7.24 on June 3rd, and I bought a bunch of these with a bunch of other items that came with it and sold them separately. I believe that I paid $3 for the whole set. On June 5th, I sold this vintage children's book by Robert Louis Stevenson from 1935 for $4.59. I bought a bunch of these books for $50 at a yard sale about a month or two ago. On May 27th, I sold this Chinese vase for $5.29. I bought this from a yard sale about a year or two ago for about the same price, so I didn't make any extra profit on this, unfortunately. No one wanted to pay more than what it was sold for, so I kept lowering the price to get rid of it since I had it for so long. On May 28th, I sold this RPPC from 1913 for $4.30. On June 5th, I sold this border postcard of the Flagler Museum for $3.60. On May 31st, I sold a bundle for $2.55. They purchased this vintage gauze jar that was missing the top for $2.07 and a vintage dollhouse cupboard server set for $1.12. On June 2nd, I sold this antique vintage brass lamp finial for $3.11. This came with a bunch of old keys that I purchased at auction last fall. On May 27th, I sold this antique cabinet car photo for $2.54. And the last item, which was my worst sale, was this raccoon iron-on patch, which sold for $1.84. This patch was from a yard sale last year that I got for free. For my Mercari sales in total, I've made $100.70. Moving on to my Poshmark and Vinted sales, which won't take long because there were only a few. Starting off with the best sale, which was a bundle from a buyer who purchased 3 items for $26. They purchased this Angie dress, which I got from a yard sale a few weeks ago for a few dollars. These J. Crew shorts, which I may have had since last year, which may have cost me $1 or $2 from a yard sale. And these J. Crew mercantile dress pants. I will no longer pick up J. Crew mercantile items since they don't sell well for me and tend to sit for years in my inventory. I was happy to finally move them. On May 27th, I sold these Stella McCartney leggings for $15, which I got from a yard sale a few weeks ago, paying only a few dollars for them. And the last item from Poshmark were these Studio Blue burgundy pants, which I sold for $14. I bought these from a yard sale last spring for around $4 or $5. For my Poshmark sales, I've made $40.85 minus the Poshmark fees. Moving on to my Vinted sales, I sold this Lily Pulitzer embroidered top for $10, which came from a yard sale last year, and I may have paid only a few dollars for it. Next, I sold the State of Texas belt buckle for $4, which was free from a yard sale I went to a few weeks ago. And last, I sold this J. Crew mercantile top for $3.50, which I had my inventory for about 2 years, and happy to see it go. I paid $1 or $2 for it at a yard sale. For my Vinted sales in total, I've made $17.50. So with my eBay sales, Mercari, Poshmark, and Vinted sales combined for May 24th through June 6th was $359.08. Thank you all for watching. If you stuck around this long, like and subscribe, or like and follow for more content like this, and I'll see you in the next video.